Hey, how's it going, everyone? Happy Monday. Doing a quick vlog from here at Costa Rica. Got here yesterday after a full day of travel, checked into the place, and I want to catch everybody up while I have some time. Do me a favor before I start this. If you're watching this, whether you're watching live or you're watching replay, drop a comment, say hi, let me know that you were here, even if you only catch part of it. I appreciate it. It helps more people see it. So I'm here about 12 minutes outside of Tamarindo. That's on the Pacific coast of Costa Rica. I flew into Liberia yesterday and traveled by car about an hour to get here. Got a cool little place we found on Airbnb. Actually, I'm gonna show you around the place here in a moment. But let me tell you, before we do, let me tell you what I want to talk about today on this this vlog as I continue to document my journey. I want to talk about my guest for tomorrow's podcast, Rich Cooper, who's very well known in the red pill space, author of the Unplugged Alpha and popular YouTube channel, creator of the popular YouTube channel Entrepreneurs in Cars. Talk a little bit about that. I want to tell you about the latest on my polygyny journey, not polygamy, polygyny. Google it if you don't know what it means. Talk about that a little bit, and then why I'm in Costa Rica. I'm here for a month, why I came down, what I plan to do while I'm here. So I want to catch everybody up on those things. So again, do me a favor, whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay, drop a comment, say hello. Looks like we've got a few people on here now. And yeah, let's dive into it. So actually, let me show you the place real quick. So I'm gonna flip the camera around and show you this place that we just rented. So we're in this kind of gated area. I'll walk you out a little bit. I'm not going to go too far out, but we're off of a dirt road. Again, we're about 12-minute drive outside of Tamarindo, which is this part of Costa Rica is like my favorite place on earth I've ever visited. Now, that's the home of the person that owns the property, but you can see here it's very jungle-ish. I mean, that is literally a jungle back there. I'm on the other side of that fence, and there's howler monkeys and other things. There's some like dogs roaming around. But this is our little place here, and we rented this place for $850 for the month, which was a crazy deal. It's super cute. It's just a tiny little place that my girlfriend found on Airbnb. You can see the little kitchen here. Got a washing machine back there, little fridge. We brought a whole suitcase full of food. Got a little stove. Look how they put the stove in. They actually just put a propane tank down there, and you just turn it on, and it fires up the grill. So we got tons of protein powder that we bought. And this is the bedroom and bathroom here. Little sink area. The shower is the coolest. It's almost like an outdoor shower. Got the little rain fall shower head on it. And this is the bedroom here. That's the little bedroom. So, cute little place. And I was able to get my plane tickets through my miles, Southwest credit card, so I got those for free. So it's just a cheap little getaway. And everything I do work-wise is online. So wasn't any reason for me not to come down here, I figured. And I also had some other reasons besides R&R that I'll tell you about in a little bit. But before I do that, let me update you on my polygyny journey. Okay, so where am I at with all that? Well, first off, you know, I always want to talk about my motives, right? Like I think people don't understand why I'm so passionate about this subject, why I'm doing it. People have said, you're trying to monetize the attention, you're desperate for the attention. I'm like, if you knew, like, so for example, I was doing this event last year called the Hallelujah Hoedown. I loved it. It was great. Christian concert. Jesus changed my life. I'm completely surrendered to him. All I want to do is serve him. I think it's been obvious from the way I live my life. Even the posts that I've made, you know, how carefully I've lived, like that is my prime aim in life, is to glorify him. So I did this event last year, Hallelujah Hoedown, and I lost it because I'm talking about polygyny. I can't be part of it this year because it's too controversial, and my partners don't want to bring me into it because it's not going to help. It's not going to sell tickets to Christians, because if Rob Kowalski's affiliated, they're gonna not sign up to buy tickets, right? Because, oh, wait a second, isn't that event that guy that talks about polygamy all the time is promoting? You know, like, so my business partner, who's a great guy, Dave Adams, wants to partner with Bright FM, you know, the big Christian radio station in Baltimore. And Bright FM had somehow caught word that this is what I was talking about, and they actually asked him for me to give a written statement that I was not going to be part of it, or they wouldn't partner with him on this event. And, you know, I did it. I sent him an email and told him I wasn't. He didn't really like the fact that they asked, nor did I, per se. But I do understand it. But it's wild to me that this is something that's not in the Bible. That scripturally, it can't be defended. It was practiced by almost all the greats and, you know, the patriarchs. I'm talking like David, Abraham, Moses, Gideon, all these people that you hear about. All were polygamists. They all had multiple wives. But for some reason, this is something that is so shunned. Like, it would be better for you to be a transsexual, a transvestite, you know, a homosexual, completely out. They'd probably put you on leadership faster if you were any of those things than if you were someone that had two wives, that just loved and protected and provided for two women, which is really crazy to me, you know? It's like, you know, if you think about, like, they'll read the Bible, they'll read the Psalms of David. David wrote most of the Psalms. They'll read the Psalms of David. But if David were to come to their church, they probably wouldn't let him in the fucking door. And that's just crazy to me, you know, like, that somehow we have it that twisted, we're that backward. When it's something that cannot be defended biblically, it can't be defended logically. By the way, if you go watch my last video, I posted it on Facebook, I posted it everywhere. I'm really proud of the way that video turned out, because it's probably the best video I've ever produced. Just as far as the information in it, the production value, 8-minute video, 5 reasons Christian men should pursue polygamy. People probably think it's clickbaity, but go watch it and listen. And actually open your mind and listen to what I say, and you tell me that that doesn't make complete logical sense. Especially when you look at the shit show that prescriptive monogamy is. It's everywhere. It's terrible. I just saw today 90% of men that are on OnlyFans are married. 30% of men on dating apps are married. 90% of men on OnlyFans are married. And people will defend monogamy, prescriptive monogamy, like it's the savior of the world. It's a joke. It's horseshit. Look into it for yourself. Men, this false doctrine of monogamy only ruined the better part of 24 years of my life. Why do I say that? Well, because I believed it. I believed it. I didn't question it. I just believed what the church told me. I assumed that they did the read. They studied it. They knew it. They're not going to mislead me. And I don't think they intentionally misled. But they misled by negligence on their part. And I believed it. And I was waiting for this girl to come along. Can y'all still see and hear me okay? For some reason, my screen got a little darker. Drop me a comment and let me know that you can see and hear me okay, please. I don't see any comments. Drop a couple of thumbs up or comments and let me know that you can see and hear me okay, please. Okay, somebody just thumbs up. Thank you for that. So I believe that Alan Bowles, what's up, brother? Hello, Melanie, Heather Morrison, Tony Martin, Julia Lynn, Jimmy Akers, Matthew Seifert, David Wolf. Okay, so just hear me out, right? Before you just dismiss me as someone that's lost their mind. I was a big man whore when I became a Christian, had sex with a lot of women, casual sex. I became a Christian and I assumed that monogamy only was the only, marriage relationship structure acceptable to God. I believed it, didn't question it, didn't research it. And I assumed that if this was really of God, that there was going to be a woman that would come into my life at some point to make me feel different about her than I did about every other girl that I dated before that. Because I dated women that I loved, that I committed to, but I still had a desire to, date, maybe, I'm not going to say sleep with other women, because I did do that. but I did it unethically because I lied about it, because I got into the relationship under a certain set of rules that were unplayable to me. I couldn't do them. I couldn't only have eyes for this one woman. And whether that is something the way that I was wired, or if it was something to stroke my ego, like whatever. I don't know why men feel that way, but it's very common, right? This isn't uncommon. It's not, if you see a man that is purely monogamous, okay, they're kind of few and far between, because they'll say they are, but then they'll go cheat, or they'll get on OnlyFans, or they'll get on dating apps and try to cheat. So a lot of men will say they are, but it's either because they're deceiving themselves that they're not really monogamous, or they just, their sexual marketplace value isn't high enough for them to ever get more than one. So they just tell themselves that that's disgusting, because they can't do it, not because they wouldn't if they could, or they wouldn't like to. So I assumed that God would send a woman, and I didn't think it was going to be this long. Are you kidding? I thought it was going to be a short amount of time. I'd fall in love, and meet this girl, and a girl that would make me, again, feel differently than I ever felt about any other girl before that. And a girl I didn't think that there was a high likelihood that I would feel the desire to cheat. I wouldn't cheat. That's why I wasn't going to be a cheater again. So that's why I was like, I'm just not going to get into a relationship until I feel this, because I don't want to cheat. I don't want to disobey God by fornicating, and I don't want to cheat. So I just stayed abstinent and single. And it was fucking hard. It was really hard. It was lonely. It was depressing. Imagine every weekend you don't have somebody to kick it with. I had girlfriends for a little bit, but at some point they would develop feelings. And then they would get mad that I wasn't making a move, and then it would cause problems, and then I have to cut off the friendship. Or sometimes, twice I made mistakes with girls because I just let it get too close, and I was lonely and horny too. But I was trying really hard to be good. I wanted to be good. I wanted to be obedient to God. And had I known this, all those feelings that I felt, like waiting for this one unicorn to come along, I would have just married one of the girls that I liked. I loved, even some of them I loved, and they loved me. And maybe they would have married me, because a lot of them aren't married now, or they haven't even dated monogamous men. They dated these shitbags that have gone out and slept with them, and then slept with other girls on the side, lied about it, and I would have married them, and we could have started a family. I'd have kids now. I'd have kids in junior high, or maybe high school, or maybe even graduated high school by now. I could have built businesses with these girls. I was doing everything myself. I was doing the laundry, the earning the money, everything was all in me for the majority of 24 years. And I'm not trying to play victim, but most men won't go through it, is what I'm saying. And I don't even mean like 50%, 60%. I mean, like, if there's a guy like me that has options, I don't know if any of them would go through what I went through, because it was so unpleasurable. It was so difficult. They'll just fornicate, because the alternative to fornicating is way too difficult. It's just way too hard for them to do. So what had happened to me was I white knuckled it for 6 years. And then I backslid, and I still loved God. I never wanted to disobey him, but I just couldn't play by these rules that were handed to me that I know now are not true rules. The rules of the game have been changed for men, and then we wonder why these men keep failing repeatedly. Because the church has set them up for failures. Why? We've given them these rules to a game that are broken. They've been changed. They're not biblical. Look into it, guys. I challenge you, please, for the love of God, look into this for yourself with an open mind. Not from an emotional standpoint, because that's all the women do. They just get all emotional, and they give me this argument that's not based on scripture or logic, okay? Women, and not just women, everybody, we think we know what we want, right? We like, what? Polygyny, a man having the option to choose more than one? Oh, never. I would never do that. Like, well, I see a lot of widows that weren't up for it when their husband was alive. They choose it for themselves because they can't find a husband when they turn 55, 60 years old. They can't find a godly man because there ain't many godly men single that are willing to get married at that age. So they become a second wife. It's good. That all of a sudden, it's funny how they change their mind when it's for them. You know, but when they're the first wife, oh, hell no, right? It's a little selfish, because if you'll do it as a second, but you wouldn't do it for someone else. But imagine this. This is something I was thinking about. Like, we think we know what we want, right? But do we really? Because if we really knew what we want, why would 85% of the time women be filing for divorce under monogamy only? Because that's what they say they want. They say they want monogamy. But yet when they get it, 85% of the time, they're the one that filed for divorce. And then people say, well, it's because the men aren't being real men. They just need to step up and be more whatever. Like, blame it on the men, right? Not on the setup, not on the system. Well, hold on. These women said yes to these men. Okay, they chose them, right? They chose them to marry. They had to say yes. And so something changed 85% of the time. No, what happened was their competition anxiety relaxed because they got the relationship, and now they lost interest. And this is exactly what God knew when he set this up. Not saying that anybody has to do it, but the sheer fact that a man has the option to do it automatically keeps the woman interested. Imagine if I was to say to you, or God was to say to you, hey, how would you like this invisible force that added weight to you? It added weight to your body and made it harder for you to like stand up and walk upstairs or carry groceries. How would you like that? Would you like that? You'd be like, hell no, I don't want that. I want it to be easy. I don't want gravity. Okay, great. Let's not have gravity. And now all of a sudden, things are all fucked up and your muscles are deteriorating because you got no resistance. Right? We think we know what we want. So you ask a woman, would you want polygyny? Oh, no, never. It's got to be monogamy only. Well, how's that working out? Because I would say it's not working out very good. So this false doctrine has been very destructive. You know, I've lived it out in my own life. I believed it. I bet my life on it. And I look at the way it's played out. And now I know it's wrong. And I'm so passionate about sharing the truth with people. And I got a message today from a guy. He said, you changed my mind on it. I watched your video. And now I see it is by far the most logical way to end the degeneracy. And I'm like, yes. I've been the test subject for this. I've been the guinea pig. I've lived it. I know how this affects men. I wanted, you know, like I was hoping that there would be a girl to come along to make me feel differently. I was so in love with these girls that I dated, the idea of them. And, you know, I love them. It didn't mean that I didn't ever have a desire for another woman, too. And it didn't affect the way that I felt about them. As terrible as that sounds, men and women don't show love the same way. You know, that's the thing that I think people they misunderstand. Women show love by sexual exclusivity. Men do not, though. Men, we show love by provision and protection. That's how a man shows love. If I sacrifice for you, I love you. It's not by, it doesn't, a man can go out and sleep with a freaking prostitute. Not that he should. I don't condone that. I haven't, you know, I'm not doing that. But he could, and it would not affect the way that he felt about his wife. Okay, it would just be it would be nothing to him. It'd be like brushing his teeth or getting his oil changed. Not to say he shouldn't do it. That's degenerate behavior. Not condoning that. But there is a difference between men and women. Okay. Men and women don't show love the same way. So when you ask a man to show love in the same way that you ask a woman to show love, that's where things get messed up. And look, if a man chooses to show love by sexual exclusivity, great. I think the majority would do that. I think probably by far the majority of men would be monogamous. Because to take care of two women, that could be more work. Okay, it's responsibility. What they'll do instead is they'll just fuck on the side. They'll just go out and they'll fornicate because that's easy. Because then I got no responsibility for you. I got my little angel at home, and I can just go have some side pieces. I can have whatever I want, my fun on the side, and as much variety as I want because I'm not responsible for those girls. I can be banging 10 of them at the same time, and it doesn't cost me much, you know, a little bit of time. I ain't got to take care of them. This is exactly what God is trying to prevent when he set this up because he knew men's heart. And this is exactly, I was talking to a guy, old friend of mine from church today, and he was telling me about, you know, his wife, and she's his best friend, and you know, I could never imagine, you know, having another woman to make her my equal. I'm like, look, dude, I know how much sexual sin you did before you got married. And even how unfaithful you were in your marriage. You fucked dozens of probably women before you got married, which is exactly the fruit of prescriptive monogamy. It's fornication. This is exactly what Martin Luther said. And then you were unfaithful to your wife, and you went out and fucked a bunch of girls while you were married. I'm like, this is what God says that you do not do. Because there's no alternative, there's no path to doing this in an ethical way, we just do it unethically. And we feel like shitbags about ourselves in the process. When I backslid, 2006 to 2011, I still love God. I just couldn't do it anymore. I'd spent 6 years single and abstinent, and I was a young guy with needs, and I was lonely, and I inadvertently slipped up, and then it happened again about a month later, and then after that it became easy to do it, to make the mistake. I was surrounded by opportunities, if you want to call it that, but I still love God, but there was no path for me to do it ethically. I would have married multiple of the girls that I dated. There was a lot of girls I think of that were great girls, but for whatever reason, I'm thinking about her for the rest of my life and never cheating on her, because I don't want to be a cheater. I don't want to lie to her. And I just couldn't get there. So guess what I did? I just fornicated and felt like a piece of shit. I felt guilty about about what I was doing. And I was doing wrong, but I wasn't shown another path. No other alternative. And there is an alternative. There's a biblical alternative, and it's a man can take more than one wife if he so chooses. Prove me wrong. Because I know there's going to be religious people see this. Prove me wrong. You'll come up with all the same bullshit verses. The only verse I really even think that people can stand on is the one, the deacon must be the husband of one wife. Okay, well, let's look at that passage, Pastor. It also says, first off, if that's what it even means, which it's not, I don't believe that's what it means. It's for deacons. Deacons are about this big of a percentage of the church men, okay? So everybody else is fine to have plural marriage. But it also says later in that same book, it talks about widows being taken care of, and they must be the wife of one husband, is the term that he uses. So you tell me, if that's about monogamy, why in the hell would Paul use that terminology? Why would he say wife of one husband? Polyandry did not exist, okay? So it can't mean that, because polyandry is definitely adultery biblically, and you would be stoned to death. So why would Paul say what wife of one husband when that's fucking obvious? Because it doesn't mean that. It means wife of a husband. Wife of first husband, okay? Not someone that's been married and divorced. Same with the men. Husband of first wife, not someone that's divorced. Or husband of a wife, someone that's married. Same reason that churches don't want singles in ministry now. They want a man that's proven himself, that he can be a protector and a provider. He's married and he's established and he's proven, and he's also not divorced. He's married to first wife. Okay, not monogamy. Where did that come from? Paul pulls this out of his ass thousands of years later and overrides the law of Moses, which he has no authority to do. It's horseshit. And it's like, I don't even know if I'll do it. But that's not what's important to me. It's not important to me as important to me if I have a second wife. What's important to me is for you to know that you're allowed to, that you can, as a Christian, and that God approves of it and he loves you. You can. Because what that will do, that changes the game for men. Now they'll be more likely to get married. They're not afraid. There's no more FOMO. Like, what the fuck? What's the pressure? I'll get married at 17. I married my high school sweetheart. If I decide down the road I want to marry another, I can. Instead of fornicating throughout my 20s, breaking girls' hearts, making it harder for them to pair bond, fucking up the dating pool, funking it all up. It's a mess, and it's not biblical. Challenge me. Logically, scripturally. You can't defend it. You've been taught some bullshit, you've been fed, and you believed it like I did, and it's time to expose this false doctrine, because it's been very damaging for the world. All these women that can't find husbands, I guarantee you most of the women that are in my comments that are challenging me, they're out fornicating, because that's what it produces, because men aren't willing to get married under prescriptive monogamy for the most part. There's almost no benefit for a man to get married under prescriptive monogamy outside of the fact that he wants to be obedient to God. That's about the only benefit for a man, and that's a great benefit. That's why I was going to do it. That was the only reason I would do it. Because what's in it for a man? You sign up for one woman, you give the courts, the family courts, power over you that can wreck your freaking life if she leaves. And you have a 56% chance of failure. So, like, I get it why men don't do it. Anyway, that's my update. So where I'm at, I have a girlfriend, it's a Dutch girl I'm here with in Costa Rica. Things are going very great. We get along amazing. She's a good partner. I love being with her. But I also know that there's a possibility this could be a polygynous marriage at some point, and that's something I've told her. And that she's going to have to make a decision on if she wants to be with me. I know it's a lot to sign up for, and you know, she's still trying to come to terms with that. And I get it, so I'm trying to be patient with her. We are waiting. We're not having sex. Very physically attracted to her, but I also want to do this God's way. Because I want to set an example for the men in my group, my coaching program, but I also want to set an example for everybody else to say this can be done right. We pray together every day. We're going to do a 3-day fast while we're here. Pray about the relationship, pray about our future plans together. But yeah, I'm very attracted to her. But I also, you know what? I also have a dating profile on Hinge. I'm not going to not talk to other women while I'm vetting her and she's vetting me. Now, when we get married, I'll take that dating profile down. But if God brings a woman into my life, or he just tells me one day, hey, marry the woman across the street, or whatever, I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to ask her permission. I'll take her into consideration. I'll be like, hey, this, you know, I think God told me this, and she can pray with me about it, and I'll introduce her to the woman, and they can befriend each other and see if there's a, you know, some kind of synergy or connection. You know, can they be friends? I don't want to create chaos for myself or for my wives or my wife. I want to only make it only want to do it if it's better and I know it's God. That's the only reason I would do it. But that's where I'm at, you know. So I am talking to a few girls lightly, not really anything seriously. But I really see this as my platform now. This is my message. I got to get it out to the world. I got to, you know, do everything in my power to expose it because of the damage that it's caused personally and collectively to the world. And yeah, I pray that, you know, the videos that I make go viral because the information needs to gather. I wish someone would have told me this sooner. My life would be so different. My life would have been so much better, you know. I made the best of it. I built City Fam, you know, brought a lot of people to church. People forget that. They say, oh, you got a demon. I'm like, I doubled the size of my church. What have you done? You know, like, I know that sounds prideful, but I live for God and I dedicated my life to him and I have a lot of fruit from it. Please save it, you know. You're just regurgitating what you've been spoon-fed in Sunday school is what you're doing without looking into it, okay? Do a little research. Go back and watch episode 88 of my podcast, Biblical Polygamy, or something of biblical perspective. Investigating Polygamy, a biblical perspective. That's what it was called with Berean Patriot. I challenge you to watch it. Tell me where we got it wrong. I'd love to hear your specifics based on scripture, where we got that wrong. So, switching topics. In Costa Rica for a month. I'm excited to be here. You know, some of the things we're gonna do. I mean, of course, we're gonna do all the typical things like the beach and, you know, maybe hit a waterfall, and there's some volcanoes and other things like that. It's very, very beautiful place, very picturesque and a lot of nature. But I want to also scout out opportunities for like backup plans, you know, for other alternative places to live. I'm really interested in trying to plug into an intentional community. So that's a buzzword that a term that I didn't know not that long ago, is intentional community. If you go to ic.org, you can see there's a bunch of these things all over the world. There's like a map of all these communities that start, the people that decide that they want to live in community intentionally. You know, have common areas and share resources on some level, but some of them are like very new agey yoga and woo-woo, and then some of them just look like real high-end Waldorf school for the kids, like people that are just like, they want to get out of the grind, right? They're like maybe professionals that just don't want to live in the city anymore or whatever, and they want to move to Costa Rica or wherever. Lost you for a second. And they want to live with other like-minded people. So we're going to visit a couple of these communities that are here in Costa Rica. I'm going to take ideas But I'm also thinking about, can we buy property down here and build a couple structures? And, I think the way I see things going in America is I don't like the way the country's going. It's become very divisive. The southern border shit, combined with what God told me 24 years ago prophetically about China and the dollar. The writing's on the wall, guys. I mean, I'd love to stay and try to prevent it or prolong it from happening, but I feel like judgment is coming to America, and I don't know that I want to be there when it happens. Like, if I can go, maybe establish myself somewhere else, maybe I bring my family down there, or maybe I bring friends join me down there when things continue to, as things continue to get worse, they leave. I don't know. I know, like, I was walking at the park the other day, my girl and I, and it was just a beautiful day, and it was nice to be outside in the sun. And I'm thinking about how different your experience can be depending on where you live. Like, here we are, I was like, it's a beautiful day, walking, it's all nice, got plans to do whatever this weekend. But if I was in the Ukraine, same world, but my life would be completely different. My life experience would be completely different. So where you live really matters, because it could be hell on earth in one place, and you could be in another place and completely unaffected, right? So, like, I think there's a lot of people that are feeling this way in America. They're feeling antsy. They're like, something's coming. Like, this shit's getting way too crazy, but they don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. So I'm looking into potentially Costa Rica as a place to set up shop, but also this Dominica Island. I've been talking to these guys more and more. I think I'm going to go there in May, pay a visit, and there'll be more. I'll talk more about that, because anything I do, I'm gonna document, and if I can help believers get out of harm's way, I want to do it. Especially believers, especially Christians. Almost like helping Jews get out of Germany, like helping Christians get out of Babylon before it falls, because Revelation 18, when he says, "Come out of her, my people," that very well could be for us. Get out of Babylon, so you don't share in her plagues that are about to come upon her. So that's why I'm here. I want to visit some of these intentional communities. I want to go to a bank and see what it looks like to buy land. If you're a foreigner, how hard is it? Can you get financing easily? Go to some churches down here. Go to the southern part of the country where the land's a lot cheaper. So that's what I plan to do while I'm here. And then, of course, all the fun stuff and work and all that. So, yeah, that's why I'm here. Lastly, I just wanted to mention that tomorrow I have on Rich Cooper on my podcast. If y'all don't know who he is, he wrote a book called The Unplugged Alpha. I mentioned that earlier. He has also started the YouTube channel Entrepreneurs in Cars. He has hundreds of millions of views on his YouTube channels. He's very red pill. He's very direct. Some would say abrasive for sure, because he just believes what he believes, and he calls it straight. No bullshit. And when I had him on the podcast the last time, I was still involved with CityFam, and I knew that, the women in CityFam are going to see this episode, and they're not going to like the things that he's saying. So I kind of tiptoed around some of the questions, and probably didn't say some things maybe that I would have said to him now, being free from the responsibility of being of an organization that like that. So I'm excited to have the conversation with him tomorrow. I've read his book now twice. I hadn't read it the first time, so I got some good things I want to ask him about. And all the guys in my coaching program have read it, and I'm going to bring them one by one, and they're going to ask questions too. Actually, guys, if you don't know, I started a coaching program specifically designed for men who are looking to level up in every area of their life, priority areas of life, and also to find wives. Some of the guys just want women under monogamy. Some of the guys want women under polygyny. But I'm coaching them on how to go about finding those women. And we're using primarily social media dating apps and social media to find them, but there's some cold approach techniques in there as well. But it's really more about pursuing masculine excellence, like getting in great shape, getting your vision clear, getting your habits on point, getting your look down, how to message women. We have it all in there. So if you wanted to know more about that, you can drop me a DM, just private message me and say coaching, and I'll get back to you with my link to book a 15-minute call. But I also have a Patreon account. So if you're not in a position to get coaching, you can be part of my Patreon group. It's patreon.com/biblical polygyny, and I have levels in there starting at free actually, from 10, and then it goes from $10, $20, $50, $100, and there's all kinds of benefits in there. Access to my courses, private messaging with me on Telegram. You can actually ask questions to my podcast guests. You can send questions to me to ask my podcast guests. And I'm getting on some pretty big guests, guys that have written some big books and really have a following. Smart guys in their niche. I was talking to a guy today that is in Warsaw, Poland. He lives in Bali, but he's in Poland for a seminar of some sort. And he talks about tantric masculine, I forget the last mindset, maybe, I don't know. It's basically like tantric, like, sexual, I don't even know what tantra means, to be honest. But it's how to incorporate that into your masculine embodiment. That was it, tantric masculine embodiment. So that'll be, he wrote a pretty good book on it. Well, I don't know if it's good, I haven't read it yet, but it's got a lot of 5-star reviews. So he's coming on to teach the guys. But so you can ask, even if you're not part of the coaching program, if you're just part of the Patreon, you can ask questions to the guys that I'll be bringing in, and women. And we're also going to have live trainings on different things. So yeah, check it out, patreon.com/biblical polygyny. So that's it. That's where I'm at. I'll probably do at least 1 or 2 more of these from here. Take lots of pictures. And yeah, don't forget to leave me a comment. And I'll see you in the next video. Let me see if there's any questions here before I hang up. Thanks, Alan, loud and clear. Tony Martin, thank you. Unfair statements about monogamy only. Can you be specific, Heather? Mike Harris, did you ever want kids? Of course. I mean, when I was younger, I was 50-50 on kids. Like, I wasn't sure if I ever wanted them. But as I got older, and it's hard for me to even describe how damaging this monogamy-only false doctrine was on my life, because it encompassed such a long period of time. But imagine this, imagine going to your family's house every year for the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter. And first, they're all single too, right? Or maybe they got a boyfriend or girlfriend or something. But then next thing you know, one of them's married, and then another one's married, and then they're all married, and then they got a little kid, and then they got bigger kids, and now they got kids that are in middle school, and you're still fucking single, going to the holidays. You know how depressing that is? Waiting for God. What happened, God? Did you forget me? Where's the girl? Now, I could have settled. I could have done what people told me. Just pick one. That's what they said. That's what my pastor said. Just pick one. That's your advice? Just pick one. I'm not the kind of person that can settle. I wasn't ever going to do something because I was lonely, to think like I tapped out. I'm fucking tired, man. I'm done. I'm horny. I'm lonely. Because I knew the moment I did that, I'd regret it. Because I'd get into it and I would have been like, fuck. What if I would have waited another month or 2? Would this girl have came along that would have made me feel different? Because I never fell in love. I never got a strong yes from God. Even if I wouldn't have felt something different than I'd ever felt about a girl, which is what I was waiting for 1 of 2 things. Go back and watch my old vlogs. I said all this shit before. I'm either waiting for a girl that's going to knock me off my feet, that I'm going to go to God and say, God, please, is this her? Please let me know. Yes? Please, can I have her? Because I love her. Or God was going to say her. And I'd be like, all right. Even if I didn't feel that way, I would have said, okay, yes, God, I'll do it. I'll do whatever you say, because I trust you, that you know the end from the beginning. And even if I don't feel that way now, something's down the road for me with her. And I'll trust you. Neither happened. And imagine going to your family's house year after year, watching this shit happen. Everybody's married. I remember when you were single, and now you got a fucking 14-year-old. And I'm still fucking single. I would just leave. I would just go home, because I was like, I didn't want to be around them, standing there like the old single guy when everybody's coupled up, married with kids, and I'm still there. And it's almost like they're looking at me like, what are you waiting for, bro? Like, why are you still single, dude? Like, and I felt that too. And I know that they felt that. And that's just one aspect of this shit. That's just one small aspect of how this shit has ruined my life on some level. It didn't ruin my life because I made the best. But all right, lost you guys. Anyway, I came inside to see if the internet was any better. All right, so I'm going to jump off. That's going to be my cue to end it. But hope you all enjoyed it. Heather said, not feeling sorry for you while you're in Costa Rica. No, I'm not. I don't believe you should feel sorry for me. But look, the way it impacted my life is that way that I mentioned. And, a lot of things I didn't mention. But trust me, Heather, when I say this prescriptive monogamy false doctrine is impacting your life right now in different ways than mine. Okay? How old are you? And you're single. And you can't find a husband. It wasn't supposed to be this way. Think about this. Paul said widows under 60. He said, get married. He didn't say try to get married. He wrote it like it was like an afterthought. Just get married. Okay, so let me ask you this, Pastor. Where was all these 55-year-old single Christian men in the church in the first century? That's the fucking stupidest thing I've ever heard of. There wasn't single Christian men in the first century. They were all married. But Paul says, get married. If you're a widow under 60. To who? He made it like it was easy. He was talking about to somebody else that was already married, dum-dum. Go do some research. Like you got to be really gullible to believe this when you start researching it. So yes, it's impacting your life right now, Heather. You might not realize how, but it is. And you and millions of other people. Rand Dorman, what's up? Christian women need to study Numbers 5:11. God does not subject men to... Yes, great point, Cyrus. Here's another thing. Let's talk about that. In Numbers 5, men could give their wives a jealousy test, but there was no jealousy test for women to give their husbands. Why? Because wives don't belong to husbands. Husbands don't belong to wives, but wives do belong to husbands. Okay, people say, oh, that was the Old Testament. Things are different now. No, God's the same yesterday, today, and forever. Okay, I'm sorry. Things may have changed on some level. Fashion's changed. But the heart of man has not changed, or nor the heart of women. We're still the same people that God created us to be then, and we still are now. Go study that. Numbers 5:11, the jealousy test. Very good point. Jason Sather, Lee Disney, Sky Eliza, Deneen Mazzone, Brian Morris, Rick Metzger, Ken Thomas, Elise Levy, Kathleen Elizabeth, Thomas Yost. What's up, Thomas? Sherry Bruns. Hi, Sherry. Lauren Founds Deal, Angela Constantini, Kay Shea. Thanks for that comment, Thomas. Patricia Pimlet, how can you coach that if you've never done it? Oh, I've had plenty of opportunities to get married, Patricia. But listen, you take the words of Paul and Jesus when they talk about marriage, right? Because neither one of them are married, and they talk a lot about marriage. Jen Maroney, Marianne Plum, Crystal Hill, Christine Wainwright, Donna Puzinski Dies, Virginia O'Connell, Tracy Ann Knight, Dennis DP, Melly Villalobos. All right, that's it, guys. I'm going to go back to enjoying my surroundings. But thanks for tuning in. And yeah, check out the podcast tomorrow with Rich. Should be a good one. Talk to you guys later. See ya.